Congratulations. To show how serious our guest is here, I want to point out he just won a suit against Soulja Boy, who has been ordered to pay $4 million to a Jane Doe in this SA case.
A $4 million legal smackdown. A Hollywood power couple with everything to lose. An underdog production company crying extortion. The Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni face-off sounds like the stuff of movies, but it's very real, and it could reshape how Hollywood heavyweights throw their weight around. Before this showdown, one attorney conquered Soulja Boy in a jaw-dropping case. Now he's turning his expert gaze on Blake's aggressive legal strategy. The question is, can star power really silence the other side, or will it all backfire? People say the entertainment industry isn't for the faint of heart.
Should we now begin feeling bad for Blake Lively because she appeared at her Simple Favor 2 premiere, and people are noting that she seems increasingly uncomfortable and anxious, and maybe it really is just a lot for her to deal with.
And attorney Ron Zambrano just proved that beyond a doubt. He went head-to-head with Soulja Boy, one of hip-hop's notorious wildcards. The result? A jury awarded a Jane Doe over $4 million after finding that Soulja Boy had engaged in serious misconduct. That verdict stunned everyone who assumed celebrities always walk away clean.
Congratulations. Bravo. That's not easy to do. Welcome, and how are you feeling after that win?
We're feeling vindicated and exhausted. It was a full 5 weeks.
Zambrano's courtroom win was no fluke. He battled Soulja Boy's team for 5 grueling weeks, rifling through evidence the defense tried to hide. The victory served as a giant exhale for his client, who had waited 5 years to feel vindicated. And now, fresh off that triumphant moment, he's weighing in on a new case, one that pits Blake Lively against Wayfarer Studios.
Of fighting and the other side trying to hide things, but we got there, and the biggest satisfaction is our client, feels heard for the first time. This is a 5-year journey for her. So, there's a lot of satisfaction, a lot of processing, but right now I am just happy to have bandwidth for normal things. But we're really excited, really proud of our work.
And Justin Baldoni in a dispute. So intense, even lawyers are stunned. This all started with a film project called It Ends With Us. At first, fans of the book were excited. It had star power, a big studio, and Justin Baldoni at the helm. But as production gears turned, rumors spread about behind-the-scenes clashes.
Motions are coming in so fast, including ones from Blake Lively. We brought in Ron Zambrano, employment entertainment lawyer to the stars. Let's break it down.
People whispered about script disagreements, personality conflicts, and who had final say on set. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, a bombshell surfaced. Blake Lively allegedly took over creative control, while Baldoni and his Wayfarer team felt cornered. Officially, the friction centered around claims of inappropriate behavior on set, what some referred to as SH allegations. Those claims quickly mushroomed into rumors that entire production departments were toxic.
Kendrick was asked about Blake Lively on the red carpet. She was a bit pithy, and I would say maybe trying to be funny, but definitely made a statement.
Then the press stepped in, fueling the narrative that Wayfarer had an epidemic of wrongdoing. And behind every whisper, there loomed the possibility that Blake Lively was strategically steering these stories to wrest control away from Baldoni. Whether that's the truth or just rumor, it lit up social media like fireworks on the 4th of July. The phrase alone.
It's a long case. We should do another in-depth at that point. I mean, it doesn't matter. One, Soulja Boy, not the nicest guy, it seems. And the court agreed. So it's nice to see, as we're seeing so often in cases, that no one believes the victims anymore, it seems. It's good to see the court did believe a victim here, and you feel vindicated.
Can give anyone chills. Allegedly, someone close to Blake's team told Wayfarer and Baldoni that if they didn't apologize, if they didn't comply, then the gloves would come off. In Canada, in parts of the US, pretty much anywhere you say that, it signals a serious threat. Do what I want, or face brutal consequences. What kind of consequences? According to Wayfarer, losing the chance to keep directing or producing It Ends With Us was just the beginning. They say they felt coerced into signing documents, forced into retraction letters, and even pressured to hand over full creative control. Blake denies it was extortion, chalking it up to normal negotiations, but from the outside, it all looks like a massive, high-stakes power play.
When she was asked about working with Blake. Take a listen.
Anna, what does it mean to be working with Blake again?
Oh, we're talking about you.
Just, you know.
So I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble.
But that wasn't the whole story. The deeper you dive, the more tangled this web becomes. When Wayfarer decided to fight back, they weren't ready for the tidal wave that hit them. According to Baldoni's side, Blake's legal team fired off more than 1,600 discovery requests and demanded responses to over 180 interrogatories. All at once. That's not typical for a streamlined negotiation. It's what some call a scorched earth approach. Lawyers do this when they want to stall the process or overwhelm the other side's resources. If the opponent can't keep up, if they run out of money, time, or stamina, they might cave and settle. Yes, celebrities have that advantage. Endless bank accounts that can fund endless motions. But Wayfarer's attorneys...
Thank you for coming again, as always, just so you guys really get an extent of how much Ron is an expert on this material. Because again, this It Ends With Us case is all about employment law. And he just won a case with Soulja Boy's assistant proving that he did bad things.
Led by Andrew Friedman, censored for potential triggers, are pushing back, painting a picture of legal bullying. The real question becomes, does any judge want to see a defendant bury the courtroom in documents just to win on exhaustion alone? Ron Zambrano, fresh off his Soulja Boy victory, says that approach can sometimes blow up in a star's face. The more you drown your rival in paperwork, the more you risk looking desperate. And juries hate desperation. One of Blake Lively's key defenses is, I didn't say anything defamatory. My husband did. My publicist did, but not me. The problem? In defamation law, if you sign official documents under penalty of perjury...
So the question that people are asking is, should we be the better person? So should we be compassionate? And the answer is no.
Nope.
Maybe think about how Justin Baldoni felt when he was in that basement at his own movie premiere.
You're claiming those statements as your own. And that's exactly what Blake did when she filed her SH complaint. Her publicist, Leslie Sloan, is also accused of launching a smear campaign against Baldoni. Under normal circumstances, a publicist's words can, and often do, get pinned on the client. Why? Because a publicist is an agent hired to manage a celebrity's narrative. So if they spread false stories, the celebrity might be on the hook. Blake's lawyers insist Sloan was acting independently. They argue she's not an employee, just a contractor. But the law doesn't simply look at job titles. It looks at whether a person's words or actions were done on behalf of the client. If so, the client can be liable. This begs the question, will a judge or jury really buy the idea that a top-flight publicist was going rogue against Blake's wishes?
And that the villain in this entire story is not Blake Lively, it's not Justin Baldoni, but it is Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan started the fire!
One phrase that keeps bubbling up is legal gaslighting. Wayfarer and Baldoni claim Blake's team is manipulating the narrative, painting her as a victim, even though she's the one with all the power. They argue that her repeated mentions of protecting women and feminist values are part of a strategy to delegitimize Baldoni's side. The legal filings say she's attacking the men behind Wayfarer by calling them hypocritical feminists. If you cared about women, you wouldn't sue me. From a PR standpoint, that might make sense. People often jump to defend those who claim victim status, especially if they're well-known public figures. But in a courtroom, you need evidence to match your statements. If a judge sees contradictory facts, like pushy demands, threats, contradictory timelines, it could backfire. We've seen this happen before with other high-profile cases where a celebrity tries to outmatch the opposition using their star wattage alone. But that wasn't the only curveball in this legal slugfest. Normally,
Yeah, vindicate. Again, this is 12 jurors, 12 people of the cross-section in the west side of LA, because we were in Santa Monica, and they heard the evidence and they believed her side of the story as an assistant, that he abused his power and did terrible things to her, and now he owes her about $4 million, a little over $4 million.
when we think extortion, we imagine money changing hands in a seedy underworld. But in California, the law doesn't require a literal exchange of cash. If you force someone to do something under threat, it can still be considered extortion. Wayfarer's team alleges exactly that. Blake's side used a menacing threat. The gloves will come off, to force them into giving up control of "it ends with us," providing letters that cleared Blake's reputation, or risking a title, wave of negative press. A key piece of evidence is an email from Wayfarer's executive, Jaime, who wrote that they felt trapped and had no choice but to comply. That feeling of being cornered, where you're up against a big name who can ruin your entire business if you don't play ball, can be enough to trigger extortion claims. Blake's team counters that they simply asked for a rightful apology and an end to misogynistic smears. They call the extortion charge a desperate ploy. Who's right? That's up to the court, but either way, it gives the public a rare glimpse into how power moves behind the scenes in Hollywood. When legal drama spills into the press, you never know how it'll shape the case. Public sympathy can sometimes nudge attorneys to settle, but it can also embolden an accuser. Right now, Blake's moves are under intense scrutiny. Some commentators say her approach resembles Amber HD's, name censored for caution, doubling down on public victimhood to overshadow questionable evidence. Others claim she's simply defending herself against misogynistic business execs. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni has his own image as a champion of positive masculinity. He's known for speaking openly about supporting women and being vulnerable. Seeing him clash with Blake, another prominent figure with a strong public persona, feels like a twisted battle of two good guys. People love them both, which only fuels the headlines. In court, though, none of that star power will matter as much as the actual facts. Did Blake manipulate the media? Did Ryan Reynolds and Leslie Sloan act under her command? Did Wayfarer truly face extortion, or are they crying wolf? The upcoming hearings may finally bring clarity. Ron Zambrano thinks so. He's seen how drawn-out legal tactics can annoy judges. When one side bombards the other with endless interrogatories, demands, and gotcha motions, it can look like stalling or bullying. Judges don't appreciate it when their calendar gets clogged with petty back-and-forth disputes. If the court perceives Blake's side as intentionally overloading Wayfarer to deplete their resources, it might not reflect well on her credibility. Moreover, a potential jury trial could pose a PR nightmare. Imagine 12 people from different walks of life listening to how a millionaire star tried to bury a smaller production company. If they sense an imbalance of power or see strong evidence of intimidation, they might recoil. Juries often surprise us with how they punish perceived bullies, even famous ones. But that's not the entire story either. Blake's supporters insist that she's a mother, a feminist, and a professional, simply protecting herself from a well-funded production machine. They say Wayfarer fumbled, scapegoated her, and now weaponizes the courtroom for revenge. Which side holds the most truth? That remains the puzzle. One of the strangest twists is how feminism became a weapon in this feud. Blake's filings blast Justin Baldoni and his team, calling them fake feminists who only support women when it's convenient. She cites wives aren't responsible for their husband's statements as a stance that shouldn't even be in question. That's fair on the surface. Nobody wants to revert to archaic ideas about spousal liability. But critics argue she's the one tying Ryan Reynolds' comments to her own legal claims. After all, if she's citing them in official paperwork, then disclaiming them in another breath, that's contradictory. The law isn't a buffet where you pick the parts you want and ignore the rest. Once you sign a statement under penalty of perjury, you're responsible for its content, even if your spouse contributed to it. This tug-of-war over who said what reveals a bigger problem. Celebrities often rely on teams of lawyers and publicists to craft a unified message. If that message is false or defamatory, you can't just blame the team. Ultimately, the star is the face and the signature behind it. There's a common saying in courtrooms, just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right. Blake's legal maneuvers might be within her rights, but morally, fans and casual onlookers can be turned off by the sight of a beloved actress unleashing a pack of aggressive lawyers. This is especially sensitive when the subject includes claims of SH, serious accusations that can end careers and tarnish reputations. On the other hand, you have Wayfarer claiming they're the ones who were wronged. They say Blake weaponized those accusations to snatch control of It Ends With Us. They also claim she's abusing California's protective laws meant to defend genuine victims of SH. If true, that could cause real harm to future victims who might face heightened skepticism. We've seen how high-profile cases can shape public perception. One bad faith claim can overshadow thousands of legitimate survivors. Zambrano predicts that this entire approach, throwing legal documents like confetti, won't hold up forever. Judges tend to see through obvious attempts to muddy the waters. At some point, a hearing will force both sides to distill their claims into concise arguments. If the judge decides there's enough evidence of malicious intent, the case moves forward, possibly to trial. That's the scenario many believe Blake wants to avoid at all costs. A star's worst nightmare is being hammered by cross-examination, forced to explain emails, phone records, and gloves will come off threats in front of a jury. The media frenzy alone could overshadow everything else Blake has built. Would her team risk that level of exposure, especially if the facts aren't firmly on her side? But that wasn't the last twist. If Blake's strategy succeeds, if she manages to silence Wayfarer and Justin Baldoni through a legal labyrinth, it might encourage more celebrities to follow suit. Imagine a world where big names can bury smaller opponents in endless motions until they either run out of money or just give in. It's no secret that some reputations have been saved by outspending the other side, not by proving innocence. Conversely, if Baldoni wins, it may set a precedent that stars can't simply scream SH allegations or defamation shield without solid proof. That outcome could be a turning point, reassuring producers, smaller studios, and even co-stars that the law is willing to look beyond star status. And ironically, it could preserve the spirit of the very feminist laws Blake claims to uphold, protecting them from misuse. Already, social media is buzzing with polarized opinions. Some fans remain loyal to Blake, convinced she's the real victim of corporate greed. Others side with Baldoni and Wayfarer, applauding them for fighting back and not backing down. Hollywood. Watchers note that Ryan Reynolds has largely stayed silent, perhaps to contain collateral damage. From a PR vantage point, the longer this drags on, the more damaging it becomes for everyone. When people think of Blake Lively, they used to imagine red carpets and witty banter with Ryan on Twitter. Now, they might recall legal threats, extortion accusations, and a meltdown behind the scenes of It Ends With Us. Even if she wins in court, she might lose the audience's goodwill. By now, you're probably wondering which side the truth favors. Are we witnessing an actress valiantly defending her name, or a powerful celebrity flexing legal muscle? Is Justin Baldoni a savvy producer who got blindsided by a co-star's alleged scheme? Or is he masking his own failures behind claims of victimhood? The only certainty is that this saga is still unfolding, and it shows no sign of fading quietly. For fans of It Ends With Us, the intrigue is bittersweet. This film was supposed to be a simple romance drama, a beloved adaptation that soared at the box office. Instead, it's become a symbol of how Hollywood can unravel when big personalities and bigger egos collide. Keep your eyes on the docket, because every new motion or hearing brings another revelation. And sometimes, those revelations can change everything we thought we knew about the people who entertain us. So what do you think? Is Blake Lively really cornered by corporate bullies? Or is she pulling the strings all along? Jump into the comments and let me know your take. Because this legal drama is far from over, and your voice might just be the next piece of this Hollywood puzzle.